And I've got a massive collection of great Ricky Hatton stories, which we will go through. But first, it's time now to join with one of Britain's greatest fighters for a stroll down memory lane. Today, at a casino in central London, Ricky Hatton finally confirmed that he will not fight again. I've been hoping for that news since May 2009. I've always had a soft spot for Ricky. Terrific fighter and fantastic human being. I love the guy. And I went to see him today. It was all a bit emotional. Anyway, I started by asking him when he made the decision to officially retire.
I think I've known the decision for quite a while now, but never really wanted to say it. It's a sad day for me, but I think in the long run it's the best decision I think I've made, really, because I think I've known for some time, but I'm not helping myself and I'm not helping my sanity by having this, shall I shan't, I might do, I might not, hovering over my head, when really deep down I know the answer, but I never really wanted to say it, really. So it's been 2 years now, and I can look back and say, well, after the Pacquiao fight, and I brushed myself down, I went in the gym and give it a go, and tried to give it a go, and I even went on the pads with Bob Shannon and did some body belt and pad work, and never did any sign, because it's the hardest game in the world, and you need that fire in your belly in order to get through a training camp and make all the sacrifices. And there is no one loved, climbing that mountain and going in that training camp more than me. But after the Pacquiao fight, whenever I tried to do it, it just wasn't there. And I'm known for a good time. I've probably known for 18 months, really, but I don't think I'd done myself any favours. It's clear how I hit rock bottom, really, and I think it was just I'm hanging on to something that is no longer there, and I think I need closure on it now, and in order to move on with life, and there's life after fighting, as they say, I suppose.
Before we talk about some of the fights that led up to the end of your career, Rick, how close were you since the Pacquiao fight? What's the closest you've been to maybe coming back? Was there a firm offer on the table, dates, opponents suggested?
Well, when I scrubbed myself down, I think it was a few months, and I made a decision, and I believe you me, when I did make the decision that I was going to make a comeback, I was so determined. I thought, it's going to be like, you've been down before, after the Mayweather fight, and you've bounced back. You spent a career of proving people wrong, like the night I beat Kosciuszko, they never thought I was going to do that. The weight I used to put on in between my fights, and I used to love saying, I'll show you, I'll get it off. And so after the Pacquiao fight, I said, it's just another day, Rick, don't worry. I said, we'll make a comeback, we'll get in and we'll prove the world wrong again. But there was just nothing there. I always used to love climbing that mountain, getting fit, because any fighter will tell you, when you've made all them sacrifices, you've been in training for 12 weeks and you get your hand raised in front of thousands of people, there's no feeling like it.
All to the winner by unanimous decision, the fighting pride of Manchester, still the light-welterweight champion of the world, Ricky Hitman Hatton.
So I used to love the start of that training camp, getting into it and proving people wrong, and but the alarm was going in the morning, and I couldn't get out of bed. When it comes to dieting, I was sneaking chips here and there, and it was just a thought, wow, this is a little bit different. And
than it had been before then.
Yeah, very much so. There was, I've always been known as a little Jack the Lad out of the ring and everything like that, but there was nobody. Once we got to that 12-week period, that cut-off time, as they say, that knuckled down, never cut no corners, did everything by the book, and I used to love it. I mean, I've been doing it since I was 10 years of age. It's the only job I've had since I left school, apart from fitting a few carpets here and there.
And part of the excess, Rick, is that you train like mad. It's completely 12 weeks of absolute abstinence, and then you party like mad. Absolutely 12 weeks of gung-ho. Starting on a Friday, finishing on a Tuesday or Wednesday. I mean, did you start to recognise that kind of extremes?
Yeah, I mean, if hindsight's a great thing, and I think if I can turn the clock back, I mean, I do the promoting now, and I tell all my fighters, I say, listen, this is the hardest game in the world. Don't make it harder for yourself by ballooning up in weight, letting yourself go too much, because I mean, it's, keep on top of things, keep in training, keep in trim, and you're going to make your job a damn sight easier. And that's what I tell him now. But if I could turn the clock back, I think maybe I would change that. But then other people have said to me, Ricky, whatever you did, it wouldn't have been you, and whatever you did, you was obviously doing it right, because obviously it worked for you. But But no, I mean, and this is one thing. Maybe I shouldn't have spent too much time in the pub, and maybe I shouldn't have spent too much time being Jack the Lad, and maybe it'd have made my job a little bit easier. But I think because of the way I was, that's why I had the fan base, and that's why thousands of people follow me, because Ricky's Ricky type thing, So.
Yeah, well, Ricky is Ricky. Tell me what happened when you told your family about that you were officially going to call it a day.
Well,
officially.
Well, we all sort of come to the decision together. I was thinking it, and they come up to me. They said, "Listen, Ricky, you're not doing yourself any favours. Keep carrying this over yourself. We know you're better than anyone, and we've seen you go in the gym and train, and it's not there no more. And people are coming up to you left, right, and centre. Whenever there's a light welterweight fight, say I'm here fight somebody. Do you fancy him? Are you going to fight him like that? And I'm saying, well, you never know. We'll see what happens. But I do know. So I'm thinking, why am I holding on to something that I know is gone? I'm not doing myself, no favours by holding on to something that has gone. And I think I need closure on my career. I need to be able to, it'll be hard at first. Today's going to be a very hard day, but in the long run, I think I'll over time I'll be able to look back at my career and be proud of it, rather than sitting back and dwelling and sulking on me the fights which I come second in.
Let's talk about some of the big fights, Rick. And there were so many big fights. When I was having another look at your record today, I was reminded just how many there were. Let's look at. Okay, let's do the simple question. Your best night. Your favourite night.
My best night, I think, was the night I took the IBF title from Kostya.
Nobody is sitting in this auditorium. Oh, and Kostya's been pulled out. He's been retired by his corner. The fight is all over. His cornerman has said enough. And Ricky Hatton is the champion of the world. That is one of the very, very great British boxing performances. Ricky Hatton tonight was stunning.
I mean, one for the fact, the MEN Arena, 22,000 at 2 o'clock in the morning, absolutely electric. And what was interesting about the atmosphere that night, when you have so many people come up to you and go, that was the greatest night I've ever had in my life, it makes you feel proud, because I got the impression you could just feel the tension off the crowd. It's not like they were going supporting one of Britain's boxers. It was like they were supporting the mate. You could just feel the, I could feel the vibe off the crowd, and the fact that nobody really thought I had a chance. I was a massive underdog against Kostya, and just he was the number one in the division. Just because you're a world champion doesn't necessarily these days you're the number one in the division. He was number 2 pound for pound as well. And when you beat somebody like that, it was just a real special night. And I think that was probably my greatest ever win.
And what about lows? I mean, the obvious, people will think, it was the Mayweather, it was the Pacquiao, but there was other lows. I mean, falling out with Billy, falling out with Warren, and then those 2 fights. I mean, I consider those 4 all real lows, to be honest with you, Rick. I don't know, but I read through some of your book again last night, and you forget how your relationships were with various people. What about lows?
Well, all the fallouts were lows, because I mean, if you know me, and I like to think you do know the type of person I am, Steve, over the years, I've never wanted confrontation, I've never wanted fallout with anyone. So when I achieved so much with Frank Warren and got to the Kostya fight, it was a shame that we parted company. But hindsight's a great thing, and I do think I was left with no choice. In my own personal opinion, I made the right decision, but it was still very sad. Billy Graham was a little bit more of a disappointment, because Billy was my friend. I loved him. We were a lot more than just trainer and things. But unfortunately, Billy, and it wasn't his own fault, started suffering with so many bad injuries, with wear and tear that he'd suffered over the years. I can look at myself in the mirror and say I knew I made the right move, but Billy couldn't see what I could see or what everybody else could see, and it was, in the end resulted, Billy thought that he could continue and we didn't think so, and unfortunately that relationship went south a bit, and that's a bitter upset. But then the fights is obviously the Mayweather defeat. I felt like chucking the towel in after that, but I dragged myself back up. 58,000 at the City of Manchester Stadium. And then Paulie Malignaggi were probably one of my best performances since Kostya.
Is that the one you went off with the Gallaghers afterwards?
Yeah, they carried the. They carried the belt in. I was probably the main reason why they split up in the end. I don't know, but no, that was brilliant having them 2 carry the belts in, and then we went over to Mexico City where they played in concert. The whole weekend.
That's the full shit to go.
But yeah. Well, it was the whole weekend, from the performance to the win to the whole weekend, was fantastic.
Ricky Hatton held aloft. He has restored his reputation. He has worn down Paulie Malignaggi, and in the 11th round, he wins. And now Ricky Hatton can start to look to a brighter future once again.
That performance set up the chance to be the number one pound for pound again against Manny Pacquiao.
Right hook, left hand, Hatton on the ropes. Hatton takes the left hand. He falls forward. The referee is looking on, and Hatton is down again in his own corner.
I think that was the worst defeat in the ring, because obviously I've always been a very proud fighter. I've been proud, but I've been able to beat people who have had more talent than me, really, because of my pride and my heart. For me to get beat in 2 rounds in that manner was very disappointing.
And a left hand from Manny Pacquiao, and Ricky Hatton is out on flat on his back. The referee waves his arms, doesn't even start the count, and it is all over in the closing seconds of the second round. This is a savage, brutal defeat for Ricky Hatton, and after all he's been through, I wonder, with the influence of the people around him watching this horror show tonight, are we seeing the end of Ricky Hatton's career?
Consequently, it was the manner of that defeat. And when I went into training after that defeat, I had no strings to pull on no more. I couldn't get motivated again. So ultimately, that will always be remembered for the fight that sent me into retirement. And for that, it is my worst one by a country mile.
So, it's a nice day today, Rick, because it's a bit of closure, you say, on something. But where are you? I mean, how happy are you these days?
I'm very happy at the minute. My girlfriend's expecting a little girl in September, so I'm absolutely made up. Everything's going well. My promotions is going well. Hatton Promotions have just been voted the European Promoter of the Year. I got world titles for Matthew Hatton, my brother, and Ryan Rhodes. And when you see what we've done in just over 2 years, it's massive. Yeah, I have a wonderful health and fitness centre in my hometown of Hyde in Manchester, which is really going from strength to strength. And when I think of the first gym I started off to the gym I've got now, it's really the stuff miracles are made of. And family life is good, really, because I hit rock bottom, which was obviously common knowledge, and sometimes you need to hit rock bottom for you to pull your finger out, and that's what I've done. But I think the best decision I'm going to be making in the last how many years is the decision I've made today to hand the gloves up, because it's not fair, for me to. I'm not doing fair by myself by. Shoulda, shouldn't, I'm hanging on to something that's no longer there, and that can't be good for my sanity or my health, so I think it would be very, very upsetting for me today, but over a period of time I think this will be the best decision I've made in years. Yeah,
I think it will. And it's been, I've got to tell you, I know the boys will probably thank you later on, the boxing writers, but what a run we had. What a run we had. I've got to tell you, mate, it was an honour being there.
Yeah, well, at the end of the day, I'm not going to say that I'll be remembered as the greatest British champion of all time, but I don't think anyone has had a fan base
never will
like I've had. It's been absolutely, second to none, and that's the thing I'll miss about the most. I think that was my greatest ever achievement, was my fan base. You say, I've mentioned, what was my greatest win and what was my greatest fight and what was my greatest performances, but that was probably my greatest achievement, and that's the thing I'm going to miss most about it all. But I think I've totally made the right decision. At the end of the day, when I started boxing at 10 years of age on Hattersley Council Estate, if they'd have said, would it have ended like this, I'd have said absolutely no chance, So, at the end of the day, I will see that. That's got to be a massive plus at the end of the day.
A massive plus indeed. Ricky Hatton talking to me a few hours ago. Great career, staggering career, fantastic career. Over 100,000 people went with him to Vegas for his few fights there. 45 wins from 47 fights, 25 world title fights. Okay, some of them were WBU, but still world titles. Sellouts all over the globe. Brilliant, brilliant. Thanks. Your memories. Well, Duncan McCafferty says when he appeared on London Inc., when a keen female tattooist asked him to give her a tattoo, his look is priceless. And Rowe writes, meeting Ricky and Floyd Sr. in Bristol before the Pacquiao fight. And Dino says the Costa Zoo fight, as does Rich Glove. Smoggy says the Hatton weigh-ins in Las Vegas. Absolutely brilliant. And S Wild 222 from one of the websites, Eastside, I think, says favourite moment, Ricky swearing live on Sky. I always like those swearing live on Sky. And Dan Cotter says Hatton rocking Mayweather in the first round. The Enforcer says just being Ricky. We were all there with Ricky. He was one of us. And LP 1985 says the Pac-Man weigh-ins. What a night that was. Chinny says all of Ricky's bad shirt nights. Scott R says the fat suit. Well, I tell you what,